Look, man, I know that fear and self-doubt, play a big role in, what holds us back from being the best version of ourselves, what holds us back from achieving the things you want to achieve, and I know this because I was a victim of fear before. I was a victim of self-doubt. Sometimes I still am a victim of fear. I still am a victim of self-doubt, but you can overcome it. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that can just hold you back forever. It's not something that can just stop you forever. Because if I'm being honest, bro, it's not that fear is stopping you. Like fear isn't the thing that's stopping you. Self doubt isn't the thing that's stopping you, but it's believing in your mind that fear is stopping you. It's believing in your mind that self doubt is stopping you. Like that's why you're stuck. That's why, it feels like you don't know where to go. And it feels like you're so fearful. You have so much doubt in yourself because you're believing what the enemy wants you to believe. Like the enemy plants these things in your head. The devil plants these things in your head. And, sometimes we believe them. Like I said, I'm a victim of this sometimes where I want to do something new or I want to make progress. I want to try something new out. But I have this fear, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of success. Or, I have so many self doubts because I've never been in this position before. I've never, took this route before. Like self doubt, it doesn't mean that you're unqualified. It doesn't mean that you don't have the characteristics needed, because you have everything that you need to accomplish the things you want to accomplish, to become the person that you want to become. Self-doubt is really just showing that you care. You care so much that sometimes you might doubt yourself, but in order to overcome this fear, in order to overcome this self-doubt, like first you just got to understand really what fear is and, where fear comes from. I just touched on them a little bit, man. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being good enough. Like fears show up when you're about to grow. Like when you're about to reach that breakthrough, when you're about to reach that next level, the devil does everything in his power to stop you. He does everything in his power to hold you back. So you're not able to, get to that breakthrough that God has in store for you. So you're not able to accomplish the things that God has in your plan. That fear of failure, man, it's just simply the fear of failing. Like it's word for word exactly what it means, man. But like I've always told y'all, like you can't be scared to fail. You can't be scared to, lose sometimes. You can't be scared to take some steps back, because in those moments is where you learn. In those moments is where you grow. Without failure, you won't be able to grow. Without failure, you won't be able to learn, because when you fail, you kind of look at things with a new perspective, which helps you learn going forward. And once you realize that you're gonna fail anyway, like nobody's gonna be perfect. Nobody's path is just cliche, and nobody's path is just sunshine and rainbows. Like you start to not really be scared of that failure, and you kind of embrace it. Like you take those failures, like I said, as learning moments, as moments for you to grow, as moments for you to look at things with different perspective. And then the fear of judgment, man, you simply just got to stop caring what people think. And I know that's easier said than done, because I'm a person that used to, before I started content and all that, used to really care a lot what people thought about me, a lot of their opinions, a lot of, what people were saying about me. Like I used to care about that a lot. And I used to carry myself in a way that was simply just not who I was, because I was trying to put on this facade so people had a good opinion on me, or I was trying to, move a certain way so people judged me how I wanted to be judged. But, fearing that judgment is really something that's holding you back, because you're not being your authentic self. Like simply just be who you are, bro. Be you in every situation. And I promise you, you're going to be able to grow more that way. You're going to be able to, gain a lot more respect that way, because you're just being you. Like you're not putting on this front. You're not putting on this facade, and you're just being you, bro. Like I really think, or I really know, because I've seen it in my own life, that people respect authenticity more than, being fake or putting on this facade. And then the fear of not being good enough, man. We've all had those thoughts of we're not good enough. We've all had those thoughts of, really just self-doubt. But I'm here to tell you, bro, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you feel like you don't have what it takes, like you do, what I'm saying? You're a human being just like everybody else. And there's really nothing that makes you different, bro. Like you have every characteristic needed to do the things you want to do and accomplish the things you want to accomplish. You are more than enough. You're more than good enough. You're more than ready to take on that task. You're more than ready to take on those goals that you have for yourself, but you just got to be the one to do it. Like once you realize that nobody else is going to come help you, nobody else is going to come save you, you really start to realize that you got to be the one to do it. You know what I'm saying? And when you realize that, that fear of not being good enough gets out your head because you just go. You just take the first step. You know what I'm saying? So if you have these different fears, bro, if you're feeling these things, like that's not a sign to stop. Like that's not. Because like I said, fear shows up when you're about to grow. Fear shows up when you're about to take that next step. Fear shows up when you're this close to making that breakthrough. You're this close to getting that opportunity. You know, so fear is not a sign to stop, but it's a sign that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. You're getting closer to where you're supposed to be. You're getting closer to where you're meant to be. And it's really just the enemy or the devil trying to stop you from getting that, from achieving that, from obtaining those things you want to obtain. You know what I'm saying? So we can't let the devil win. Like, no matter how much he tries to put in our head that we're scared or we have this fear, no matter how much he puts in our head that we're not good enough or we got to doubt ourselves, like, we can't let that win. We can't let the devil win, man. And in those times, above all the, not caring what people think, and above all the embracing failure and just taking action, like, you got to pray, man. You got to keep God first, because without God, like, it's really going to be hard to, not let the devil win. It's really going to be hard to not let the enemy win, because that's something that we can't do on our own. Like, no matter how hard you try, bro, it's hard to do it alone. And this has nothing to do with the video, but like, this is kind of just talking about how things are hard to do alone. Like lust, for example, bro, no matter how hard you try to fight lust on your, like, by yourself, it's kind of impossible to win that spiritual warfare battle or win that battle against the devil alone. Like, you need God, you know what I'm saying? You need him by your side each and every step of the way in order to flee from that temptation, in order to flee from lust. And that's the same thing with fear. That's the same thing with self-doubt. When that devil tries to creep in, bro, it's like, that's when you got to run to God. That's when you got to go pray. That's when you got to stand right next to God and just keep moving forward and not letting the enemy win. You know what I'm saying? But on the side of self-doubt, like, how do you overcome self-doubt? The way to overcome self-doubt is action. Like I talked about with the last example of, that fear of not being good enough. Like, you just got to go. You just got to take the first step. You just got to go take action. You just got to go take the risk. Like, self-doubt, the only way self-doubt can grow is when you constantly just think, when you constantly just really overthink, you know what I'm saying? Because you're sitting there like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Like, no, just go do it. In whatever way there is, like, just go do it. Because without action, bro, your confidence is never going to grow. That self-respect is never going to grow. That confidence in yourself is never going to grow. Like, confidence grows when you move. Confidence grows when you take action. Like, you can't wait to feel confident, because confidence is never just going to poof out of thin air and just magically come upon your life. Like, you got to be the one to take action. And when you take action, that confidence comes after action. You know what I'm saying? So if you constantly just think and you constantly just wait, or you constantly just overthink, you're going to doubt yourself, man. And I've been there before, because I've told y'all before, like, I'm a big overthinker. There's times where I can't even sleep because I'm just up thinking about, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to achieve this, I got to achieve that. But instead of just, sitting there getting ate up by your thoughts and letting your thoughts win, like, you got to take action, because action kills self-doubt. Action, gets self-doubt out of your mind, because you're moving. And when you move, the confidence is when you grow. You know what I'm saying? And you simply just got to stop listening to the wrong voice, and that wrong voice being the enemy. That wrong voice being the devil trying to throw you off your path. Because like I said, when you get to that point where you're about to make that breakthrough, or you're about to take that next step, you're about to reach that next level, he's going to come into your head. He's going to come into your mind. And he's going to try to plant this voice in you that he wants you to listen to. But we have to stop listening to the wrong voice in order to overcome fear, in order to overcome self-doubt. Like, your mind will be your worst enemy sometimes, bro, because your mind will try to bring up these worst case scenarios. Like, if I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do that, that's going to happen. When 99% of the time, none of those things are true. Like I said, it's just the enemy trying to throw you off. So not every thought that you have deserves your attention, bro. Like I said, I'm a big overthinker, and a way that I have, tried to kind of help that is just realizing that a lot of time our mind makes up scenarios that are just not true at all. Like if I haven't seen it with my own two eyes, I don't believe it, So you don't have to think of or you don't have to obey every thought you think. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to listen to every thought that you hear. If you don't see it with your own two eyes, then bro, it's probably not true. You know what I'm saying? So just keep moving and try to listen to the right voice, which is the man upstairs. When you constantly pray, when you constantly have that relationship with him, like there's times where he's going to speak to you and you just feel good about it. You don't feel nervous. You don't feel scared. You just want to move. Like that's probably God speaking to you, So don't give into that spirit of fear. Don't give into that spirit of self-doubt, but move with power. You know what I'm saying? Move with love, move with a mind that's clear, a mind that's not listening to the wrong voice. A mind that takes action, a body that takes action, so you don't overthink, so you don't doubt yourself. Because when fear is speaking the loudest, your faith has to speak louder, bro. Like I said, when you have that fear, when you have those thoughts, when you have those feelings of self-doubt, like that's when you got to run to God the most. You know what I'm saying? So you don't let that enemy win. So you don't let the devil win, So just like through it all, bro, just keep moving, just keep taking action. Like fear is never going to be able to win, bro. Self-doubt is never going to be able to win. You got to tell yourself that each and every day, because your future that you want, those goals that you want, those things that you want to achieve, all the dreams you have, like those things live on the other side of fear. They live on the other side of, doubt, self-doubt. So no matter what the situation is, bro, like you just got to do it. You just got to move. You just got to take action and keep God first throughout the whole journey, man. Like those are the keys to overcoming fear and overcoming self-doubt, taking action, moving anyway, doing it scared, not caring what people think, and keeping God first, man. So if you've ever had those thoughts, man, if you've ever had those, ideas of self-doubt or those ideas of fear, man, just remember that God is always by your side. Remember that you can run to him at any time, man, and he will really, get you through those tough times. He will really, help you win that spiritual warfare battle, because that's really what it is. It's spiritual warfare. You're going back and forth between the fear, no fear. You're going back and forth between the doubt and, the confidence, man. And it's a spiritual warfare battle that I know a lot of people fight every day, because I fight it every day, but in those times, man, is when you got to let your faith speak louder than any type of fears. When you got to let your faith speak louder than any type of doubt, but that'll be all for this video, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you like this video, go hit that sub button. I know with the 800 subs. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I will see y'all in the next one.